You're welcome to the Power Circuits, proudly brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to keep you informed about reforms in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. I am Amara Agugesi. We are bringing you top industry reports, and here are the headlines. Federal government, Chinese firm signed contract to enhance power transmission. Grid Code Review Panel holds meeting to integrate provisions of the Electricity Act 2023. Repair works progress on faulty power transmission towers in Lagos. In the interview segment of the Power Circuit, we will be wrapping up a session with the General Manager Transmission at the Benin region of TCN, Engineer Charles Iwamadi. The regional head at TCN reviews the strategic actions and collaborations that are helping TCN to address safety and environment issues in Benin region. Let's get along with this. The federal government of Nigeria has entered a contract with a Chinese firm to rehabilitate and construct some 330 and 132 kilovolts power transmission lines.
The Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, supervised the $328.8 million contract signing between the FGM Power Company, a special purpose vehicle driving the Presidential Power Initiative (PPI), and China Machinery Engineering Corporation (CIMEC) in Abuja. According to a statement by Bolaji Tunji, Special Advisor, Strategic Communications and Media Relations to the Minister, Adelabu said the exercise was a further demonstration of the unwavering commitment of the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to deliver on the promise of a stable and reliable power supply to all Nigerians. Specifically, the contract will undertake the rehabilitation and construction of 330 kV and 132 kV transmission lines under the Phase 1 of the PPI. The minister said the project will ensure efficiency and prevent stranded capacity in the grid. The projects are strategically divided into two priority batches. Priority 1 comprises 7 brownfield and 10 greenfield transmission lines, totaling 544 kilometers, with a load capacity of 1,140 megawatts.
Towards improving performances in the power industry, the Grid Code Review Panel recently held a meeting in Niger State to review the Grid Code and consider the amendments introduced by the Electricity Act 2023. Key discussions at the meeting include energy transition challenges, renewable energy integration, states' participation in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, and the grid code adaptation to power system issues.
The meeting was chaired by the Executive Director, Independent System Operator, formerly at TCN, Engineer Nafisat Ali, and was holding shortly after the inauguration of the Grid Code Committee by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission.
The meeting is the Grid Code Review Panel's meeting. The panel was inaugurated sometime last week by the Commission, and we were given a mandate to review the entire Grid Code, which is in line with the Grid Code itself.
On the first day of the meeting, the panel members began the review of introductory sections of the Grid Code. This governing document is a set of rules and guidelines which guides operators and investors on connecting power plants, transmission system, and distribution networks, as well as their operations on the national electricity grid. The EDISO provided a broader perspective of grid code that entails as a technical working document in the Nigerian power sector.
The grid code is the technical document that gives a coherent system. If you need a system that is coherent and well coordinated, you need certain guidelines. So it's the grid code that actually provides these guidelines. You are coming to the grid. What is the expectation, the requirements for you to come to be connected to the grid? So that's what the grid code is about. So it's about those technical issues.
The second day of the Grid Code review meeting had the active participation of members of the panel as they deliberated on critical aspects of the Grid Code, including the breaking of the panel into subcommittees for the review. Engineer Ali further delved into the core of the Electricity Act 2023 that prompted the ongoing review of the National Electricity Grid Code.
The Electricity Act 2023 actually repealed the Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005. And the EA 2023, that's the Electricity Act 2023, introduced a form of restructuring, or took a step further from where the Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005 stopped. It introduced participation of private sector in the electricity industry, and it gave the states the authority to participate in the electricity market. Further to 2005 Electric Power Sector Reform Act came up with the integration of renewable energy into the power sector. That's looking at cleaner energy sources. So that's just a few of those changes that the 2023 Electricity Act came up with.
The panel members discussed the role of the Electricity Act 2023 in strengthening the grid code for the restructuring of the power sector. The system operation head noted that all stakeholders in the Nigerian electricity supply industry are fully represented in the grid code panel to ensure that all sections of the value chain are carried along.
If you look at the composition of the panel, as even enshrined in the grid code itself, all stakeholders have their representatives in the panel. The GENCOs are well represented, the DISCOs are well represented, the TCN, that is the transmission service provider, and the independent system operator, even the eligible customers had their representative in this panel. So while reviewing this document, it is natural that people will come up with their own ideas and their own understanding. People understand certain clauses in the grid code separately or in to various degrees. So what we did in these instances were to settle down to listen to everybody's views, because some views will be better than others. We'll listen to people's views, and at the end of the day, we go like majority carries the vote, or the views that make the most sense, let me put it that way, will have their way.
The Power Circuit team also spoke with a number of the participants and members of the Grid Code Review panel. Take a listen.
The last time the Grid Code was reviewed was in 2018. From 2018 to date is about 8 years. It means a lot had happened. and then that is what we are supposed to include in the grid code.
From time to time, the document undergoes review to capture those issues or remove or add some of the things that you need, to come into that document. So that's why we are here, and we've been doing it. We are doing it. So there are a lot of things that some were added, some were removed to reflect the current reality.
The panel that has just been reconstituted was inaugurated by the Commission and tasked with the responsibility to have this code reviewed urgently because of the urgency in demand of the new code. So we have been given a timeline, 3 months precisely, and we are looking at doing this between now and the end of May, so that it will be available for use by both the ISAP and OCO to look at the market rules.
The committee is actually set for initial 2 years, so the committee is not an ad hoc committee that just stopped. It's for a period of 2 years. Thereafter, a new set or the present committee can continue for another 2 years in order to continue to review when new addition comes in, when new technology comes in, when new set of rules comes in. Then the committee should continue to also continuously revise the ruling document and make it to align with reality on ground.
This is the Power Circuit. Please stay put as we return after this break.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, transmits bulk electricity from power generating companies, GenCos, distribution load centers of distribution companies, DISCOs, nationwide. At TCN, we transport bulk electricity at very high voltage to DISCOs, who now off-take it and distributes it directly to electricity customers nationwide. TCN does not generate electricity. We transport the quantum of power generated to distribution load centers. TCN does not distribute electricity directly to electricity consumers. Our job stops where that of the DISCOs begin. TCN, transmitting bulk electricity in the most efficient and effective manner.
To avoid any significant disruption in the transmission of bulk power, the management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) is ensuring that repair works is speedily progressing on faulty power transmission towers along the Ikeja West to Osogbo 330 kV transmission line route in Lagos State.
At the site of the towers, which collapsed recently, engineers engaged by TCN were seen dismantling the towers as formal repair works commenced on the line route. You may recall that TCN recently announced the collapse of 3 power transmission towers along the Ikeja West to Osogbo 330 kV transmission line route in Lagos State recently. The company said it promptly diverted a load of 165 megawatts on the line to an alternative route while it assessed the extent of the fault. TCN attributed the fault to windy rainfall and extensive damage to Tower 528, which collapsed due to a trailer truck hitting detached conductors on Tower 527. The incident also affected Tower 526 and Tower 524. At the site, The engineers professionally dismantled the tower members and conductors, which is the first step towards reinforcing the towers. Speaking with the power circuit, Engineer Nwafo Bright, who is one of the system line engineers engaged for the task, noted that although the work was a delicate one, they were trained to handle such tasks with all sense of professionalism and utmost commitment to safety practices.
This is the interview segment of the Power Circuit. Here with us is Engineer Charles Chidi Iwamadi, who is the General Manager Transmission at the Benin region of TCN. He will elaborate on the strategic actions and collaborations that are helping TCN to address safety and environment issues in Benin region. What efforts have you been making in the region to promote health, safety, and the environment?
Our sensitization has been anchoring on the consequences of building, residing, or abiding in those in our transmission right of way. One, it is a challenge to us as a company. It affects us. It also affects those individuals without them knowing. We kept telling them that there are radiations on those lines as a result of corona effect of those lines. And those radiations has impact. They are cancerous. And staying there day and night working, you will not know the magnitude of the impact in their system. And in our own side, we have what we call counterpoise. Counterpoise is a mesh of wire provided within the tower members to protect the tower, to protect the individual that will move close to that place. It works with the sky wire on top. So when they walk and live around that place, they might excavate and endanger and tamper with this counterpoise along the tower route, which may cause accident and reduce the protection required on that line, and also might be hazardous to them. So we have been on that note, be telling and sensitizing them at intervals on the need to be away from the right of way of Transmission Company of Nigeria.
What challenges does your team face in managing the region?
The Benin region is actually one, technically, it is a tropical area with rainforests. And because of that, the growth rate of some of these lines is very high. So the challenges are there. Actually, those areas are supposed to be awarded for line trees annually. But I think in recent past, much has not been done. But we are still doing an in-house management of trying to do as much as we can to curtail the rate of growth, the vegetation growth in that area. And then the other challenges actually we encounter here, the challenges of these people encroaching in our right of way. Because we have numerous lines, the rate at which the encroachment is taking place in our lines cannot be equated. So the
people are actually encroaching, building on our right of way. We have devised means to sensitize time without number the consequences of encroaching, building, marketing, walking around the right of way. But it's still a big challenge. People excavating on our right of way, we have been battling with them for a long time since I assumed office, trying to also bring in the agencies that synergize with us to curtail some of these excesses of people stay in the right of way.
How are state governments or other partners supporting TCN to tackle the challenges of vandalism and the encroachment of the right of way of power transmission lines?
So, although state government, they have also, in recent times, I think, opened up a window for, they have opened up an office, especially, that protects not only the right of way of transmission company, but any other government facility. People harvesting around the properties, the public properties. They have opened up a department that go around sensitizing and even demolishing some of those areas. Quick TCN transmission line is not excluded. So we are also in talk with them to show them the areas of interest in the transmission lines. And then we are closely working with DSS, with NSCDC on our own areas to also curtail this menace of vandalism right of way. Here we also exposed to a lot of vandalism on our towers. And DSS Benin has shown a lot of support in that aspect. Anytime we call them, they always go with us to take up those vandals. And we also hope we'll continue to synergize with them to solve some of those problems. But as for vandalism, they are rampant. Those security agencies are on top of their game helping us.
You just heard from the General Manager of the Benin region of TCN, Engineer Charles Chidi Iwamadi, about the strategic actions and collaborations that are helping TCN to address safety and environment issues in the Benin region. Here are the reports we brought to you. You have heard that the federal government has signed a contract with a Chinese firm to enhance power transmission. Grid Code Review Panel holds meeting to integrate provisions of the Electricity Act 2023. Repair works have progressed on the faulty power transmission towers in Lagos. And in the interview segment of the Power Circuit, we took you through a wrap-up session with the General Manager Transmission at the Benin region of TCN, Engineer Charles Iwamadi, who provided elaborate details and strategic actions and collaborations that are helping TCN to address safety and environment issues in the Benin region. Please, let's keep the support for TCN going as you guard against vandalism of power transmission lines, towers, and substations in your locality. Also report all suspicious moves to vandalize or sabotage power transmission assets to TCN officials or security operatives and formations near you. I am Amara Agogesi. Thank you.